To trade the bear. Just wanted to take some time and talk about the market a little bit during the middle of the week. Had some interesting things happen this week that is very important that we take a look at. First off, let's take a look at the VIX. You know, the VIX is trying to come back down. We have this 85 level that it came off of, and then now it's sitting about 57, somewhere in that area. So a little push down yesterday, and then a little bit of a hold today. Well, that's pretty easy to understand because when you go into, okay, so when we go in and we look at the ES, you can see that today was a down day. We had that rollover that I've been talking about, which comes right off of this resistance. So, I mean, in normal markets, I would anticipate that this is going to run down and catch this support level, maybe even go back down and test this area. So, you know, let's keep an eye on this and see what's happening. I had a signal to go short on pretty much everything I trade today. We'll go into that in just a minute. However, with the VIX being as high as it is and the option prices being as inflated as they are, me being a directional player, I just think it was best not to jump in to everything. I did go ahead and pick up the XLF in our small trading account, and we'll see how that goes. I also have the XLE working right now as well. But anyway, you can see that this level here held. Another thing about this is if you look right here, okay, that's the 50% level that it came to. Now, some folks would come over here to the weekly chart and be more apt to place the fib on that. So that would look like this, you know, thereabouts, and which is a perfect pullback to the 38.2. And then we have all of that resistance right there that comes from a previous time, which we've looked at before. And so all of this is playing out pretty much like we thought. Now, the caveat with this is the Fed and the Treasury and some of that, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. But let's go ahead and let's look at the major parts of the market, which is we looked at the ES. Now let's look at the NQ. And the NQ looks exactly like the ES. You know, there's a support level here that's doing pretty well. Looks like we formed a level right here that we'll need to pay attention to. And the next one would be the bonds. Now the bonds are going to be behaving pretty strangely right now due to what the Fed is doing with POMO. So we'll have to keep our eyes on that. Anyway, it's basically just disconnected. There's no correlation right now with the bonds in the market or anything because of what the Fed's doing. At least that's been my experience in the past. And then oil's tanking. I mean, it's just there's nothing happening good with oil. And then gold is just doing its own thing. I mean, there's really no trend or anything. We're just kind of seeing some whipsaw action here. You know, this up, down, who knows what gold's going to do as well. A lot of that has to do, I mean, I imagine that traders are thinking, you would normally think that gold would be a place you would go for cover. You know, especially with them printing money and everything that they're doing now. But that doesn't seem to be the case. Now let's look at the dollar and see how it's holding up. I anticipate it found a level. Yeah, sure did. It's got this level right here that it's dealing with. So, you know, finally had that pullback, finally stopped. And it's just kind of catching its breath would be a good way to look at that. Now for our ETFs that we like to trade, you know, the KRE rolled over. So to me, I would have liked to have gotten short that. The Qs, same thing, which is, you know, correlates with the NQ. And the SPY, same thing. And then XHB actually did it yesterday, and I didn't do anything with that. Now XLE signaled here. I picked it up here because I was late to the party. So we'll see if this will make a move back down into here. Sure would like to see that. with the positions that I have. And then XLF, which we're trading in the small account, I went ahead and picked up a couple of contracts there today at the end of the day. Very nervous about this trade just because I can't trust what the Fed and the Treasury and all that. So be careful trading right now. You know, you've got volatility at an all-time, well, it's very high. And then you have the Fed and the Treasury. I read an article where the Fed is giving the money to the Treasury is giving the money to BlackRock, and BlackRock is buying ETFs. And I'm sure if you've been following the financial news, you'll see that to be true as well. And then, of course, this whole COVID thing, you know, they're talking the next 2 weeks is just going to be unbelievably bad. We'll see how that develops. Sure, a lot of people being extremely negative in that regard, and it makes it very difficult to be optimistic when you keep hearing these types of messages. And I don't even watch the news, but everything that I look at on the computer is even, super negative in regard to that. So be safe, be well, and thank you for spending some time looking at the markets with me. Have a great evening. Thank you.